Well, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. We're excited that we're here on Co-working Live with Red Worldwide. And I am excited today because we're going to be talking to people. And we're going to make sure that we don't have duplicate audio coming in. And so we're sorry about that. We're still learning. Hopefully, we'll have this down within a couple of weeks. But we have like lots of new tools, and because we do, we are learning how to use them. And sometimes we are not as fluid just yet. So sometimes we have these break-in audios that happen because we don't um, remember to turn on certain tools. But pretty soon we'll have a nice team of people that are handling that part, and I can concentrate, and those who are going to be hosting can concentrate on just their part, which is the hosting process. But with that said, today we have some amazing people in studio with us at online and Zoom, and we want to give them an opportunity to talk about some of the pain points that they're experiencing with their computers, because we're going to talk about some hard um, assets that we have in our businesses that help us to run our businesses and to do business better. And those are laptops, desktops, tablets, cell phones, however you might be running your office. We're going to physically take the time today to look at options for making sure that you have the best possible tools and that you're able to complete tasks seamlessly and that you can do it affordably. And so with that said, let's, jump in here. I want to share that, I have over the years traditionally been a Mac user, and I've used everything that Apple has made with regards to technology. For the most part, I go back to the two C days, I think, two the original Apple computers that are I call them the original because there was one that was out that was right before that. But I actually did have one of those too. But in terms of what I actually used growing up in our community, when we got our computer lab in our school for middle school, that was the first time I'd ever seen a personal computer in my life. And it was quite interesting because we received a grant. And when we did, we have an entire computer lab, which allowed the students in our school to have access to the computer one time per week. Okay. So to some people now, they would look at that and say, oh my gosh, just one time per week. But for us, that was huge because it's like everybody got a chance to touch the computer one time per week. And it was a huge lab of computers sitting next to each other in cubicles. And we had an opportunity to put our little floppy drive in, and the computer would start up, and it had the little games that we could play. And then we could also, type a paper on it and print out on the dot matrix printer. And I mean, it would print and it was very loud. Okay. And it would print out, one line at a time. And so, of course, if there were 30 students in there, that means we were waiting like, an hour to get our paper that we actually printed out. A lot of times we'd have to wait till the next week to come back and get it because there's just too many people in line. But interestingly enough, I learned a lot about computing technology as I got into college. And so this is really interesting because, I went to a school that had a lot of money, the college I went to. When I was I actually started college when I was in the 10th grade, and our school did not have a full computer library or computer, lab or anything like that, where I was going to community college. But when I turned 19, I believe, is when I transferred into the university. And when I transferred to the university, I went to Disney University, or California Institute of the Arts. Okay. And we had a lot of money in our school. And so as a result of that, we had really good computing technology available to us. But by that time, I also had been blessed with a laptop. So I had the ability to have a computer in my dorm room. And I learned that, sometimes the bells and whistles are not necessary to get the job done. spending $3,500 on a computer was not something that was in my budget or in my parents' budget at the time. And I had to work with, actually, it wasn't even a computer. I'm thinking back, it was a word processor that was more like $600. And that worked for me at the time. And I was able to make that thing do whatever it had the ability to do, because I learned everything about the brother technology so that I could learn how to use this word processor. And it did well for me. I was able to type all my papers and do everything from my dorm room and not have to get in line with the other students who were using the computers in the computer lab. But as I became a business owner, I came to understand that just because it's less expensive doesn't necessarily mean that it's better either. Okay. So we have to be able to get a balance between, having technology that works well, okay, and not and staying in budget, not breaking the bank. And so today we're going to take a look at some different types of technology. But before we go into some of the systems and look at where, we can find some technology that will work very well for us, I want to talk about pain points. What is it that people are experiencing when it comes to utilizing their technology, and why is it that this technology may not be working well for them? So let's get started, by, you can unmute your mics and just kind of share with me some things that you might have experienced with your technology.
For me, mom was like the systems, some by the compatibility of systems, not enough, have enough memory, not going fast enough for the things that I was actually trying to do, especially if you do a podcast, different things that wasn't able to handle the capacity of the things that I wanted to do. Those were some of my pain points, and learning it at the same time.
Yeah, learning the operating system or learning how to, use the software.
Oh, both. Both, because
Okay.
it was new, especially like you're saying in a business, when you need different programs to do different functions of the business, it takes me a little longer to learn it, to apply it, to implement it and make it seamless. And so, and getting a different computer at times too, you have to learn how the computer works. So everything we're used to being at, now you got to start scratching it, which takes more time. Some of my
Yeah.
pain points that I've had.
Okay. Okay. All right. And I have Enadina on the line too. Enadina, I know you've been experiencing, your computers have lasted you. I remember you telling me that you have a computer that you had over 10 years ago, and that you were able to still make it do some of the basic things you needed it to do. And then you have the other computer that's the newer computer, but you've been noticing some things now that you want to kind of mitigate, or, some newer things that you'd like to do using your computer. Can you talk a little bit about that? Uh-oh, you're muted. Enadina, are you there? Uh-oh, she's still muted. Okay, we'll come back to her in a minute, if she's available. But I'll talk a little bit about my journey. So I have used both Mac and PC computers. At one point in time, I was building out PC systems, and because I did eventually get into IT a little bit, and more hardware than software for a while, and so I was actually building the desktop computers, for a little bit. And in doing that, I learned, how to maximize what I, needed to utilize from a business standpoint, so that I could spend less money and maybe get two systems, one for me and one for an assistant, to, make sure that I had everything that was necessary, to be able to compute. And interestingly enough, I have also been in a situation where I was traveling a lot, and it was risky for me to carry my technology with me, especially, to some of the places where I traveled, at one point in time. If I were to have more expensive computers, or computers with my client information on it, it could have been a risk to them as well, because I've had tablets and computers stolen before. So I needed to be able to solve the problem of how do I, have a computer that is, you know, able to move from one place to another? And how do I make sure that I'm not in a situation where I'm putting myself or client data at risk while I'm traveling? What is it that I can do, you know, to, you know, just create the best possible situation, you know, for myself as a business owner? And so with that said, let's see, hold on. I want to share. This is not what I need to share. Hold on. I need to share the entire. Yes, there we go.
Well, one quick thing you said too, patients, is understanding what exactly hardware and software is. So when they start talking the lingo that you're not familiar with, that is the other thing too. So
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So generally speaking, when we're talking about hardware, and I'm just going to grab an HP computer here right quick, we're talking about the physical computer itself and every one of the peripherals that goes with that computer. So this is a laptop, right? It's a mobile computer, and there are also desktops, which are and let me just show what the difference is. So the mobile computer itself, the laptop, is, you know, a folding apparatus. It could possibly be even a touch screen or have a touch screen. It could possibly fold all the way back to, you know, be a what they call a hybrid, you know. So it's a hybrid tablet, um, and, you know, laptop. There's one, a Zen screen. Hold on. That's a portable monitor. But let's see if we can show maybe a hybrid tablet if they have any at Best Buy. Usually they do. Okay, so these are tablets. They also have these tablets that are both tablet and computer. And so, you know, you have the ability to fold it back. Let's see. I think that would be a Lenovo that has that. Lenovo.
yeah, they do. No, but I think Asus does too.
Yeah, yeah. The yoga tab, you know. And so what that has to offer is the ability that it can fold all the way back a lot of times, and you can end up using it uh, you know, as more of a tablet. If you need to, you can write on it, you know. And so they have these, and this is the hardware itself. A Surface is also one of those that's kind of a hybrid tablet slash computer, in that it gives you the ability to write on it. It gives you the ability to um, you know, type as well, because it has the all-in-one solution where it's got the keyboard attached. So this is the Surface laptop that Microsoft makes, but they also have a Surface that is not a laptop, and so it specifically functions more like a tablet. Only it is able to run the let's see, the Surface Pro. Here we go. It runs the Windows operating system, and not an operating system that specifically would be for a tablet. So this is the Surface Pro 9. And, you know, it has the capability of, you know, taking the keyboard off, where you can you know, just use the monitor and touchscreen version of the software. Because once you remove the keyboard, then now what happens is the what would be a computer now says there's no keyboard attached, that you can allow them to use their finger to write, or the little the little um uh stylus that comes along with it, you know. And it can function in that way. But you can also have it where the keyboard is attached, and you can use it, you know, just same way that you would any other laptop computer. So it comes in, you know, 4 storage capacity options. There's a 128 gigabyte option, a 256 gigabyte option, a 512 gigabyte, and a 1000 gigabyte option. Now, this could be a really good option for someone that is mobile. They're having to move around a lot. They're needing to take the tablet with them wherever they go, and having the everything there, excuse me, for them inside of the tablet, and the ability to write if they're a person that needs to, you know, or likes to, you know, write. notes, then this could be a good option if someone wanted the Windows-based operating system. Okay, so this is, Microsoft's Star tablet. Okay, the Surface Pro. And I will say also that it comes in different system memory options, 8 GB, 16 GB, and 32 GB of RAM. And you can also get two different options on the processor. You can get the Intel Core i5 or the Intel Core i7. And so those gives you, it gives you a lot more computing power, and it makes it so that the actual computer runs faster and it can process the information better. So with that said, let's talk about the things that people, they need to know when they're going to buy a computer. So I'm going to go back to I'm actually going to go to the Asus, because I am a fan of Asus products. Okay. Even though I am a Mac user, when I did have a PC, it was an Asus, the last PC that I had. And I loved it because it had, for the price point, I got a lot more computer for my dollar. Okay. It was very fluid. It lasted me several years, and I was able to, I didn't have the touchscreen version, although they do have a touchscreen version. The last one that I had was not a touchscreen version. If I had it to do today, I would always get the touchscreen. And there are some specific reasons, because I am that person that likes to touch and tap and move and swipe and all of that. And so for that reason, this would be the better computer for me. Okay, and here's one with a 1 TB solid state drive. And we want to talk about 4 different parts of the computer. So the computer itself, the actual, desktop or laptop, the hardware, has inside of it some internal components. And the main thing that you want to be thinking about when you're thinking about the internal components of the computer are the hard drive, the motherboard, okay, the processor, all right, and the system memory. Okay, those 4 things are really important inside of the computer. So let's talk about the hard drive first. You want to make sure you have enough space on the hard drive for it to process, not necessarily store everything, but process, okay, all of the things that are going through that you're using at a time. Many things that I heard Crystal talk about when she was talking about her pain points, she was saying that, it was laggy, or it was kind of slow. It wasn't moving the way she needed it to. She needed to be able to do certain things. Well, sometimes what happens is, because we have background things running, we have things running in the background while we're working on things in the foreground, our computer will slow down. We'll have several tabs open in a browser. And if you use Chrome, Chrome is a very resource intensive browser. It uses a lot of resources. So you've got Chrome open, plus you have 2 programs open on the computer, like Word, or maybe you have Word and Excel open at the same time, and you have Chrome open. And now you want the computer to do something fantastic, like you're going to now open up, maybe Adobe, Premiere, and you want to try to do some editing on a video. Well, you've got a problem. The problem is that you have Chrome open, which is in the background, even though you might not be using it while you're using Premiere. And you might think, well, because I'm not moving around in Chrome, it shouldn't be, creating a problem. Well, it's running in the background. And so it's using up the resources on your computer. And in a Mac, we have what's called the activity monitor. And we'll show a little bit of what this looks like, where we are able to look at what the computer is doing, all of the processes that are running at the same time while we are, working on different things. So I'm going to stop my share, and I'm going to share the activity monitor, because I want you guys to see what this looks like, this activity monitor, so that you can see all of the different things that possibly are going on in the background while you're running, the one thing that you're trying to be doing. So this is my activity monitor, and it's showing you everything that I have going. I've got Zoom, and Zoom is now using 39.9% of my CPU. Okay. And that CPU is what's, has to be divided. 100% is being divided over all of the processes of things that are going on inside of your computer. So if Zoom is using 38.4%, and OBS Studio, which I'm using to record, is using 52.6%. And now Grammarly pops up because it wants to help me do something that I might be doing online, because I have it set up that if I'm writing or typing something, it's going to be there to help me with my spelling or help me with the grammar. And so it pops up and it's now using 79%. So all of these things that are going on are taking away from the ability to have the computer run and process fluidly. I mean, easily. And unfortunately, and I want to just explain this in layman's terms, because I'm not trying to, be, the intellectual when it comes to computing, requirements, or in that matter, any kind of intellectual abilities that I might have with regards to the computer. I'm just trying to show you in basic person's terms what happens when you got things running in the background. So I've got all of these things running, and at some point, my computer is going to start slowing down. It's going to start giving me messages telling me that you have run out of system memory. Okay. Your computer cannot do anything else. Close some things. Okay. And hopefully, you don't do it when you're working on something that that needs to be saved before you can close, because if so, you could lose an entire project. I remember Crystal and I were working on a project not that long ago, and she was on her end and I was on my end, and I started having problems. And all of a sudden, the iteration that we had just worked on, it was so beautiful. I thought that it saved, it didn't save. And so when we actually got the produced product, there was a whole page that was missing, because the page that we were working on, or when we were working on that page, my computer started having problems and I had to restart, and it did not save what we thought it had saved. So when I'm sharing this with you, I want you to be thinking about, when you're buying a new computer, you want to purchase a computer that gives you the ability to not have an issue when it comes to the computing power. You want to make sure that you get at least a Core, this one says Ultra 5 series. So at least i5, and if you can do that, that puts you in a position where the computer actually could, if you're not a person that's doing a lot of graphic design or a lot of, editing, in terms of, movies or videos or anything like that, an i5 should work very well for basic work that you need to do in your computer. Okay. Now that's the processor. But when we're looking at the actual hard drive, you want to at least have, if possible, 256 gigabytes of RAM. I mean, of hard drive space. So that could be in a SSD, which is a solid state drive, that's a drive that doesn't have any moving parts, or it could be in a regular drive, okay, that actually does have the, little spinning parts on the inside of it, the components. And so when I'm looking at, this particular computer, I like it because it has a 1 terabyte drive. I do a lot of things on my computer, so I would need 1 terabyte of space. But you can always have these wonderful little, drives that you carry along with you that will add to your space on your computer. So when you plug in an external hard drive, that external drive actually gives the ability for the computer to have more space to work with. And if you get a computer that does allow for the hard drive to be used fully, where it can be used for processing, documents, while it's also used for storage, then you can buy a 1 terabyte external drive and get a computer with a lot less space and utilize it in a manner that really makes sense. We'll go over here and we're going to look at a few things on Apple. And I want to show this because, I think it's important, for people to understand, some options. So here in the Mac world, we have, the ability, I'm going to pull up some of the laptops now. The MacBook Pro is what we're looking at. We have the ability to, really, flesh out what your needs are, because it didn't used to be like this. You used to have only a couple of options. Now you got tons of options. You could end up with a computer where you can prioritize battery life over hard drive space, or you can prioritize processing power over battery life or hard drive space, or you can add it all. So in looking at the Mac computers, I have the 16-inch M2. This is an M3 version, because that's the newest one that's out, but I have the 16-inch M2 version of the MacBook Pro. And I'm going to click on buy so I can show you how you could build out a computer. And you can do this with the PCs as well. You can actually go to into the Best Buy's website, or you can go straight to Lenovo, or I'll give you another option in a few minutes for where you can buy a cheaper computer if you don't mind having it shipped to you, and it's not an urgency for you to have to go home with it today. You can actually build out a computer on CDW, Computer Discount Warehouse, and get what you want, in terms of processing speed and power and RAM, the system memory, the operating memory, and you can also, get what you want in terms of hard drive space, and so these are things that you would be able to take a look at and just kind of make some choices. So in here, if it were me, because I know what my processing needs are, I'd be going for the 8-core CPU and the 10-core GPU, because I need the processing, power. Okay. And so I'd be spending the $1,999 and getting my student discount, which is going to give this to me, for $100 off or $200 off, depending on where I get it, if I get it at school or if I get it on Apple's website. Okay. And I might be also looking at the 16 gigabytes of RAM, because I made the mistake of recently getting a desktop computer, and I only got the 8 gigabytes of RAM, and I was trying to run that thing like I run my laptop, and it just barked at me. It was like, what are you doing? I'm not geared for this. And I locked it up, and I ended up having to, try to have somebody help me at the Apple Store figure out, what do I really need? What's the most important thing? What do I need to prioritize? So, what I ended up with, the school that I went to, they really did, help me out, and they knew what I was going to kind of need. So I ended up getting a 10-core CPU, and I think mine is a 12-core GPU. It's the predecessor to this one that's out now, with 512 gigabytes of storage. I didn't go for the 1 terabyte. I just went for the 512 because I have some really good externals, external drives. And I also wanted to make sure that I got the one with the Touch ID, because I like the idea of being able to unlock it with my fingerprint. Okay, so that was what I went for. But depending on what your needs are, you could get a really good computer for less than $1,000, okay, from Apple. And so let me show you how you could do it. So if you go here, and look at, because these are, of course, the brand new ones, you don't have to get the newest model. You could still end up with a really good computer by getting the predecessor to this particular one. So if we look here at, all of the options, okay, let's see. We can go to certified refurbished. And for years, I only bought certified refurbished. And the reason why is because I got the value of the computer, and I got the warranty that was on the computer, even though it might have been a certified refurbished computer. And I have never had a problem with any of the certified refurbished computers that I bought. So that same computer that we were just looking at, that had the M3 chip in it, that was like $1,700. Let's just kind of take a look. This is the one that was $1,500 is actually $1,359, saving $240 by just going with a certified refurbished computer, because they're open box. Maybe somebody got home and they decided they just didn't like it and they brought it back. and it was nothing wrong with it. It was just that it was open box. And so because it was open box, people were able to gain access to this particular computer at a lesser price. Let's look at this, this desktop. I have this one, which is the M3 chip, 24-inch iMac with 8-core. Actually, mine is a 10-core and a 10-core CPU and a 8-core GPU is the one that I have. And so I was able to get that one for $1,000, okay? Because I bought it, well, I bought mine new, but I was able to get the predecessor to this one, when I did get have the previous model, it was purchased as a refurbished. So, you can get a really good computer a lot of times doing refurbished if they do have them. And I can see they are almost out of everything on their refurbished right now. So I guess everybody else is looking at the fact that they can get it refurbished too. But this is their top of the line. The one that sells for $4,000, you can say save $600 by getting it, through the certified refurbished store. So let's look at a way that we can make all of this make a lot better sense, because by shopping with the Computer Discount Warehouse, I have been able to get the computer that I needed. I've helped other people purchase through them as well. And sometimes I was able to get it in a lease. So for many years, I had the express privilege of working with our clients who were Red members and helping them to get access to the best possible technology at a discount. And we did it by using this Computer Discount Warehouse. When we're looking at hardware, which is the actual computers, they have theirs organized in a very, succinct way. It's really easy to find what you want. So if you're looking for a computer, you can just click here, and then it'll give you options for desktop or laptop, and so once you get to, the desktop, you can choose an all-in-one, or you can choose a mini PC, which will give you the mini PC along with, then you'll have to buy a monitor to go with it, or you can get a workstation. Now, today we're really kind of centering in on laptops. So let's kind of look at remember I talked about the hybrids? They have the 2-in-1s on here too, but we're going to just look at the regular laptops right now. And when we click regular laptops, now it opens up into another window, which shows you all of the different brands that they have available: Apple, Lenovo, HP, Getek, Dell, Asus, Microsoft, Acer, MSI, and Panasonic. And they have a lot of computers. This tells you how much they have in stock: 639 Apple's MacBook Pros and MacBook Airs. Then there's the Lenovo's, they have 514. So they are usually pretty stocked, so you can find almost everything that you want. Unless you have a specific configuration that you want, then sometimes they may have to order it, specifically for you. But for the most part, you are able to really find, what you want. Now, I will caution you, I have purchased Chromebooks before, but for business, unless you're using it as an additional computer for you to take with you on trips and things of that nature, I would not suggest you buying a computer for your business that is a Chromebook. And some of the main reasons is because of the fact that it literally does not have a lot of space. If you notice, it has 4 gigabytes of RAM to 32 gigabytes of RAM, but generally you're not going to be able to find a very large hard drive inside of these Chromebooks. And for that reason, the processing power also could suffer. Now, I have purchased a few of these Lenovo 100Es, and I've gotten them for my grandkids for school. I bought 2 for my daughters, also because they were in college and also starting new jobs, and they needed their own computer to separate what they were doing personally from what they were doing from the computers that they were given for work. So, since they already had a main driver and they also had tablets. I went ahead and got them this, Chromebook, and it allowed them to do work in between. But I also have bought Chromebooks for staff members who I needed to do specific things, and it wasn't the main daily driver that we were using. Most everything they were doing with the Chromebook, they did online in a browser. So since that was the way they were using the computer, it was worth it for me to just spend the $250. Or at the time, I actually got it on sale. One of them for like $150. And one time I got one for $98. Okay. So you can kind of watch the sales and see, and you can really pull off a really, warm and fuzzy when you're able to get these Chromebooks, at the price point, that could work for you if you're having to buy one for multiple employees. But again, my daily drivers are always for me going to be Macs because I like Macs. And so with that said, I have been able to find some really good deals. I was able to buy the Apple MacBook Air, and let's see if we can, go to Apple. And this is a suggested computer for anyone that actually is going to need the processing power, but they don't necessarily, the way they use their computer is not going to need, like an extremely large amount of space, in terms of, and you can get a larger hard drive, but I'm saying if you really don't need that much space and you're using external drives and you're moving around a lot and you need to carry the computer with you, I would go with the MacBook Air. Now, I carry both of my MacBooks, the MacBook Air and the MacBook, with me most of the time now because I'm having to set up a full office when I go other places, to go to other locations. And since I have to do that, I need two screens. And so to keep me from having to have someone provide me with a couple of monitors, I just carry both my MacBooks and it just works well for me. But I was able to get a MacBook Air with a 1 terabyte gigabyte SSD, okay, and 16 gigabytes of RAM with an M1 processor for $1,100 through this particular store online, CDW. And I was so grateful because it really did solve all of the things that I needed at the time. And I gave that particular computer to my assistant who was working with me. And then I got another one, which, duplicated. It was the same exact one, except it had a newer processor in it. So with that said, let's kind of look at what this could look like. So for $1,258, this computer could last somebody about a good 8 to 10 years. I mean, it really has the capacity to do that. It will be able to run all of the newer operating systems that Apple comes out with for probably the next, 8 years, and so with that said, it, gives you a wonderful design. It's fanless so that it's very quiet. And it has that M2 chip in it, which is extremely fast, and it does a lot of processing, in the background. If you need to run multiple things in the background, you can with this computer. It has the ability to give you a 1080p FaceTime camera. So the camera that's in front is a really nice camera, and you can, record your YouTube or record other types of videos from it. You can actually work seamlessly between people in FaceTime even on that computer. It has a backlit keyboard, so that's a wonderful thing to have, because if you're working in dim light, and it will automatically light up as soon as you get into a place of where, the light is too dim. And it will just start giving you different levels of brightness on the backlit keyboard. And it still has a headphone jack, so that's great. So that if you're needing to go out to speakers, you can. If you need to go out to other peripherals, you can from there. And so the SSD storage is amazing. It lasts a long time. I've never lost a drive inside of a MacBook that's an SSD. I have had problems where eventually my drive did fail after about 8 years on one of my other MacBooks. So I had to come to understand that I need to get a longer I mean, for longevity's sake, I need to be backing it up to have redundancy, but also I need to make sure that I have a drive that has the ability or the capability of lasting longer. And so the other thing I like is the Apple Care. Absolutely love Apple Care. I used to buy computers through Best Buy before I was using CDW, and Best Buy has such an amazing, amazing warranty. You know, I would buy my computers through them. However, since Apple has started this Apple Care Plus with the extended service agreement for 3 years, and it has, you know, if you drop your computer, if your computer is, it covers parts and labor, 3 years from the original purchase date of the equipment, and you have to buy it, you know, within 60 days. But I'm telling you, it is so wonderful to be able to have the, you know, peace of mind to know that if you, you know, you break your screen, or if you're dealing with, you know, something where things start to pixelate in there, they will, you know, go in and fix it. And I got a brand new display on a 3-year-old computer, and they had it back to me in 3 days. Okay. When I walked it into the Mac store. So that was an amazing thing. I love the service, you know, but they also have service centers. You can go to any Best Buy. There's a service center for Apple. There's all kinds of other service centers now that are available through different stores that sell computers. So, you know, you don't have to wait until you can get to an Apple store. You can actually go to an authorized service center to get your computer taken care of. You know, and then you can also get the enterprise extended service agreement, you know, which is 3 years on site if you have, you know, if this is for a company, you know, so that's a wonderful thing as well, you know, for you to get that Apple Care service that services a certain amount of computers, and it's a, you know, tier 3 volume, meaning that you could have, you know, I don't know what the amount is, but I think it's like 10 computers on Apple Care, and they take care of, you know, making sure that those computers are taken care of. And don't quote me on that because I'm not sure, and they're not saying exactly how many computers are available, but I know that it is available for more than, and they come to you, you know, to fix things. So that's an amazing thing. Okay, so let's go over here to take a look at, you know, some other things in CDW. I want to show you some options that, you know, if your budget is less than $1,000, let me say this, you could possibly get the prior year if they have any. So let me take a look and see if they have it. The MacBook Air M1. So I know that I've seen several places that are selling this particular computer, the MacBook Air M1 chip, and I don't think they have them. Doesn't look like they have any of those right now. So let's see. I know that they did have some at Best Buy. Let's go back over here and take a look and see if Best Buy has any right now. The MacBook, because they were $649, which is an amazing price for this much computer. So let's see if they have, yep, MacBook Air M1. Let's see if they have any in store, or if they have them where you can order. So they have the MacBook Air. Oh, wow. The M2 chip is only $849. That's a significant savings. And the M1 is $599. This is a great computer. Okay. And so if you can get it though with 16 gigabytes of RAM, that is even better. Okay. So they have one that is the 1 terabyte drive, the larger drive, and with the M2 chip, and it's the 15-inch. That's a larger screen, and that was for $1,499. That's a good price, a really good price for that one. And they also have, man, they have a lot of these, and you know, the i5 8 GB. These are the M1 chips that they have available. But I would check the store near you, because sometimes they have open box, and they also have the 16 gigabytes, and they just don't necessarily always have it on the website saying that that particular device is available. So I would call and say, hey, do you guys have any in store of this particular type of computer? And then they'll let you know what they have available. Okay. Now if you need if you need a hard down computer because you're doing a lot of graphics and things of that nature, I would go with the MacBook Pro and not the MacBook Air if you are really doing a lot of editing. But if what your needs are very basic, you could get a really good Mac computer for $600. Okay. And that's an amazing thing to be able to go and get that, from Apple. And I mean, from through Best Buy, but it's an Apple computer. All right. So that would be my go-to for this particular type of computer. Okay. Okay. Well, this is as much as we can do today. I know that there are, like I told you, my go-to for PC is going to be Asus. If you're really looking for a budget, items, Asus has some really good budget computers that last a long time, and they have them touch screen, and you can get an i5, for probably around $600. Pretty. I'm trying to see if I can pull it up real fast so that we can take a look at it. So this is the newer ones. The Zephyrus. I know that they have the one that's like right before this one that is a really good machine. And if you're able to get this 16 gigabytes of RAM and the solid state drive, the i5 or i7, I think that would be a really good basic computer that with a touchscreen that is good for most people who are in business and just need basic computing power. Okay. All right. So, and that's the VivoBook. All right. That's it's got the Ryzen 7, the AMD processor, 512 gigabytes of RAM, solid state drive, and it's got 12 gigabytes of memory for $500. And so that's a really good price and that you could, get from Best Buy. And this looks like it's a really good time to buy. They have another one that's $600. It's also a 2-in-1 touchscreen Chromebook. But I'm looking to for business owners, try to stay away from the Chromebooks if it's your daily driver, unless it's a second computer. I wouldn't be going down that street. And and you can stay within your budget, but get something that's going to have a little bit of longevity and provide you everything that you need. Okay, has this been helpful? Okay,
Yes.
Davina, okay, awesome, wonderful. Okay, well, we are
Yes.
because it just gives you let you know that there are some options out there. You can get a really good computer without spending an arm and a leg. Well, this has been Patience Rose with Co-working Live with Red Worldwide, and we'll see you again next time.